It was only a month ago that Banksy sent the art world into an absolute storm by shredding his own work at an auction house. Well, it seems that he set something off and now everyone's at it. In this episode, we'll take a look at what Ron English has been up to. My name's Doug. You're watching FWTV. Just before we get stuck into this video, 2018 is coming to an end, and while we look forward to 2019, what I do want to do is I want to put together my end of year roundup of my favorite art projects, exhibitions, street art murals, everything like that. So if you have anything that you think should be featured in my 2018 roundup video, then let me know in the comments below, send a link to it, and I promise I will do my best to feature as much as I can. Let's get stuck into the video. So here's the story as it stands. Last week, the street art, contemporary art, graphic art heavyweight Ron English decided to take a play out of Banksy's book of How to Mess with the Art Market. Taking a stand against private companies removing street art from the public domain to sell at auction, he decided to buy Banksy's 2012 piece Slave Labour. English went on to say that he planned on painting the whole canvas white, which was then going to be sold back into the art market for double the price. We're tired of people stealing our stuff off the streets and reselling it, so I'm just going to buy everything I can get my hands on and whitewash it. So he was a little bit cryptic as to what he was actually going to do with all these pieces that he was going to buy and then whitewash, although he did give hints that he was planning on selling it for profit. So this is where we get into something a little bit interesting. First and foremost, we have to give a massive nod to English, who's built up his entire career to a point where he can shell out $500,000 without breaking a sweat. Fair play, mate. I want to now take a closer look at this whole thing because there's quite a lot to get your head around. So what he's doing here is he's challenging the art market and the system of auction houses by buying the piece that has been removed from the street, which is what he's against. He's then going to destroy the artwork and then sell it back to the art market for a profit. So the end result from this scenario is that there's a destroyed Banksy piece of artwork which is now left white, although because it was Banksy and because Ron English has destroyed it, it now becomes worth more. This sounds like a bit of a gamble. So in this scenario, what English is doing is he's fighting capitalism with capitalism, which sounds like a very kind of backward way. There's a couple of ways that this could pan out. Scenario one, English could come good on his word. He whitewashes the canvas and indeed he sells it back to the art market. So some guy is now sitting with a white canvas in his office and Ron English has now made £500,000. So in this scenario, a rich guy gets richer and the public lose a piece of art. The second way this could play out is English comes good on his word, does what he says he's going to do, he whitewashes the canvas, but he tries to sell it. And it turns out that the experiment was a big disaster and it doesn't make the same amount of money. In this scenario, it doesn't matter because he's still paid the sellers £500,000 for that canvas. So what you now have is some rich guys getting richer and the public losing a piece of art. The third way I see this panning out is it turns out Banksy and English were in on this together. They're going to create a fake replica which they're going to sell off to profit. And then they're going to get loads of money. There's going to be two pieces of art, one real one, one fake one. And the guy has spent £1,000,000 on the fake one and it's going to sit there and then years later he's going to realize it was a fake. But because of the story around this, the mythology, it's going to be just as valuable as the original. He's going to then sell that, make loads of money. And it turns out that there's actually just loads of rich guys getting richer and the public still lose a piece of art. So if this hasn't spun you out by now, you are some next level psychological guru. The thing that this entire stunt depends on is really Ron English's reputation, because he is an artist and he exists in this world. He's been painting for just as longer than Banksy, so he has a real reputation in this, and he's going to one way or another, he's going to, there's going to be people now that know about Ron English that didn't know about Ron English before, so whatever happens, his reputation is still going to have grown a little bit. But the whole resale thing is kind of built around this factor. What I would find really interesting is if it wasn't Ron English doing this, if it was like some young student on daddy's credit card who had said, "Daddy, can I have £500,000 to buy this Banksy because I'm going to destroy it and then sell it into the art market?" Then you would have had something incredibly interesting because he would now be so widely hated. But you've seen, like with Mr. Brainwash, it doesn't matter. The machine has a way of kind of absorbing your hate and then turning it into profit. I asked you guys on Facebook and Instagram what you thought of this, and as always, you had some very strong opinions. The views were generally quite mixed, but it did seem that a lot of you thought the money would be better spent elsewhere, and there was definitely a sense of confusion around the whole thing. Collectively, Eric Jorgensen, Barry McHugh and Jim McIlvaney pointed out that this stunt sounds relatively familiar. Echoing the musings of Duchamp and Dadaism, it seems that English, and maybe even Banksy as well, might be covering some old territory here. In the early 1950s, the American painter Robert Rauschenberg had pushed the boundaries of, of collaboration and the notion of what constitutes art. So for this project, what he did was he acquired some artwork from another very respected artist named Willem de Kooning, and he decided to carefully erase the work that was already there. He removed the artwork from the art, making it just not art, but then it was inscribed and put in a frame, which means now viewers could understand that it was actually art. I don't get art. In conclusion, I have largely forgotten about what it was I started talking about at the start of this video, but hopefully by this point you have as well. English's stunt may or may not change the structures of the art world, only time will tell on that one. But whatever way this pans out, one thing is for sure, you should never take for granted the artwork that you see in the public domain, because if it's a Banksy or not, it doesn't matter. The next time you walk down that road, it may well be gone. My name's Doug. This was FWTV.
Money, success.